Dr. St. Leger, thank you for coming, and we appreciate letting our audience online get a chance to know you a little bit better.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, these have certainly been fun for us, and I think we've already received nice comments from people who've been able to view these. So, Anthony, I want to get a little bit into something that always intrigues me with our team and our scientists and our faculty. You all come with incredible training and education, and of course we love to see that University of Pittsburgh education. That's nice to see. But at some point along the way, you made a decision to dedicate your life to science, and that's a commitment. We know it's certainly one that doesn't always come with a lot of rewards for all the time spent getting prepared, but it's certainly something that society values and benefits from. So thank you. But tell us a little bit about why you decided to get into science.
So I think I've always been sort of inclined to go toward the sciences. Growing up, my mom actually painted a space shuttle on my wall and hung planets from my ceiling, and I loved that, and I actually wanted to be an astronaut. But I ended up to be colorblind, and those dreams sort of went out the window much earlier in my career. But then when I got into undergrad, I still wanted to pursue the sciences, and I thought I wanted to do sort of evolutionary biology. So I ended up working in a plant biology lab where I was basically a glorified bee. I would take pollen from the flower of a plant and try to pollinate a bunch of flowers. And I realized that wasn't for me. Like, I couldn't just sit there pollinating. So there was a teacher in one of my immunology classes. She was looking for some undergraduate researchers, and I applied and got the job. And that's sort of where everything started to fall into place. I knew I wanted to do something to study how the body fights disease, and that's how I got into immunology. And then when I started graduate school, I started my PhD with Bob Hendricks, who was a world-renowned ocular immunologist, and things just fell into place after that. He heard my love of ocular immunology, now obviously taking over his lab. I'm very grateful for the impact he had on my life and my career, and I hope to sort of perpetuate his legacy in that regard.
Well, of course, we all remember. We remember, those of us who work here, Bob and what his contributions are, and this is an interesting field you're studying, or you're doing science in, because immunology right now is a very hot topic in medicine. There's a lot of work going on to try to understand how the body can heal itself and how you can sort of help the body do that. And so tell us a little bit about that, what you're doing and how that relates to the eye.
So during my postdoc, I was really interested in the microbiome and how it relates to the eye. My mentor published a landmark paper showing that the intestinal microbiome could affect retinal disease.
Wow.
I had the hypothesis that maybe there's a local microbiome. So if you think about the gut and the bacteria in the gut, I thought maybe there's bacteria in the eye that could help to push an eye towards a disease state or push an eye towards a healthy state. So through a series of experiments, we actually show that there are bacteria that grow at the ocular surface and live there long term. And whenever those bacteria are present, the eye is actually better protected from other serious infections, from fungus or other blinding bacteria like Pseudomonas aeruginosa. So that was during my postdoc. And now we're trying to figure out how those bacteria stay at the eye, what factors those bacteria might produce that allow it to stay there long term. Also, how do those bacteria sort of stimulate that protective immune response? So those are some more of the basic projects, but then we have some more lofty goals too, where we're now trying to genetically engineer those bacteria almost act like a long-term delivery vehicle. So we know that the bacteria stay there long-term, and we changed its genetic material so that they start secreting factors that could help with disease.
Hmm.
If you think about eye drops or other eye treatments, you have to put those in once every couple hours, for several days at a time. If our genetically modified bacteria work, we could place it on the eye initially, and then you don't have to have any further bacteria there, and they're continually producing that natural therapeutic is our goal. So that's a more of a lofty goal in our lab, but I think it's attainable. We've shown that we can modify the bacteria. We're hoping we're well on our way to sort of developing. I call it probiotic, but I spell it PROBEYE OTIC. So that's my bad joke for the session.
Well, it makes sense though, and I think that's a good explanation for it, because I think people understand how probiotics for your gastrointestinal system and other places where the biome has an impact really does have an impact on your overall health, and it makes sense that it could really be there for the eyes. And this can impact a lot of different conditions. Am I right? I mean, there are things from dry eye to infections and everything that ultimately could be impacted by this. Am I correct?
Yeah. So we're really looking into dry eye disease. I think that's so widespread right now, especially now that everybody's stuck at home staring at computer screens all day. That's seriously affects dry eye phenotype, and we know that dry eye disease dramatically affects that ocular microbiome. So if we can figure out a way to sort of naturally regulate the microbiome to encourage a healthy microbiome, then I think that would do quite a bit in regard to treatment of dry eye disease and possibly eliminating the disease instead of simply just treating symptoms.
Wow. Well, it's exciting, and we're looking forward to what lies ahead for sure. So you've done a lot already, and you're certainly on the we'll say in the fall term of your career as far as where you are in the trajectory of things. But to date, what accomplishments would you say in terms of what you've done professionally that you're most proud of?
So I think it was definitely that K99R00 proposal that got accepted. That was my first real major competitive grant that got accepted and basically kickstarted my independent research career. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am without my mentors like Bob and like Rachel, my postdoc mentor. They contributed a lot to that application. I think being able to write something like that showed that I have an ability to maybe make it in this business of writing grants and doing research. So I think that proposal is it. But then also finding the bacteria that colonizes the eye, which kickstarted that proposal, was a pretty big step forward. And it was all happened by chance, really. So we found just the bacteria can grow on the eye, and I think that was a really serendipitous finding that we found.
Do a lot of those discoveries happen by chance? Is that uncommon?
I don't. From what I hear, it's the reason why some investigators use the term serendipitous is because it's not totally by chance. It's just you're sort of open to these really unexpected results. So we actually forgot a plate that grows bacteria in an incubator, and that's how we found this specific bacteria, because it grows very slowly. So anytime we did really conventional microbiology assays, we would harvest everything after 24 hours or 48 hours, and the bacteria wouldn't have grown by then. It was only when we had a plate for 7 days that we saw this weird layer of bacteria that turned out to be the good bacteria we were looking for.
Oh, is that ever cool? That's really kind of neat.
I told my wife that she still doesn't believe me that that's how it happened, but it's totally how it happened. It
That
was
is so
forgetfulness on my part.
That's really very good. See, it's not always, if it's okay to sometimes, be a little forgetful and leave something go.
Exactly.
So, well, so now you, we're in Pittsburgh, came back. Um, Tell us what the things are that about Pittsburgh or the department here at the University of Pittsburgh that really, have, attracted you and wanted you to stay.
I think, I mean, growing up in Pittsburgh, I think I always sort of knew how great the city is.
Mm.
Moving away sort of reinforced that, because Pittsburgh's just a unique place. It's has a city sort of environment, but also has, everybody is very generous and open with their time and their energy. And then also specifically for the department, I think the department's a really great place to be too. When Bob recruited me back, when I did my graduate work, Dr. Sahel was not at Pitt yet. But when Bob was recruiting me back, he said one of the big draws should be that I consider having Dr. Sahel as a chair because he is so pro research and pro cutting edge that he's really developing a department that has a lot of energy and focus towards really helping people. So that was a big draw. And then coming back to Pittsburgh and interacting with a lot of established faculty members as well as the newly recruited faculty members, just it really has an environment that there's going to be a lot of success taking place both in the department, outside the department, and throughout the university.
Well, I think you're right, and I think that we can continue to see that is growing, and we're building an amazing team, and your role is one of the most unique and pretty, I think, very exciting parts of that. Now, what are in looking at the future, for what we're doing, and you understand, of course, all the things going on and the growth and even the additional faculty that have come in, and how does that impact you? And is any of that exciting for you coming?
Yeah, so I think a lot of it is exciting. In regard to the junior faculty and the newly recruited faculty, we've already started some collaborations, some unexpected collaborations, where we're working with the Burn Lab on some human samples. We're working with the Campbell Laboratory and a lot of the other ophthalmology labs. And so one of my goals is to convince everybody in the department that immunology plays a role in their disease model. So the dominoes are starting to slowly fall, but they're realizing it. Because I do think immunology plays such a big role in every disease process.
You're not alone in that thinking. Obviously we're seeing that in fields where they're treating cancer, it's and as we said already with the GI tract, that's been well known. So why not? And I think particularly as we're talking about conditions which are often related to age and time and other things that we used to equate to just those processes. I'm sure immunology is going to be an important role. So it's exciting to have somebody taking a look at that. It's exciting to have your research looking at so many different areas, because you're working in not just the cornea, you're looking at the back of the eye, you're looking at all these processes. So from macular degeneration to, as we said, infections and other things that impact the eye. So thank you. This is exciting, and it was nice to have people have a chance to actually hear this from you, in addition to what they'll read on the bio on the department website. So thanks, Anthony, for taking time, and we'll look forward to more.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.